name is Mary Dellenbaugh-Losse, and today I'm really excited to present the first in my new monthly video series called 10-Minute Talks, where I'm going to be exploring complex urban development issues in 10 minutes or less with a small lecture and then examples from my work and my home here in Berlin. So in today's talk, I want to get into gender and public space, which is a topic that I just gave an interview on for Enorm magazine, and I'll link to that in the description once it comes out. So when I talk about public space, I want to define this today as the spaces which are designed and created by the municipal city planning department, often in cooperation with other architecture and planning offices. That means we're talking about public spending and how that tax money is going to benefit girls and boys and men and women. Maybe just a quick side note before I really dig into it. Today I am going to be speaking in gender binary terms. That doesn't mean I'm not aware of the issues faced by non-binary persons. But today I'd really like to speak specifically about gender equality for women in public space, since it's something that's quite disregarded. All of the things that I'm going to speak about today are improvements for the city for everyone, not just women, of course. So the topic of gender in public space is really wide-reaching, but today I want to talk about 4 specific aspects of how urban design can have unintended gender consequences, which is to say that urban design can be gender blind. That means it just doesn't take gender explicitly into account. And those 4 aspects that I'd like to get into today are safety and the perception of safety in public space, the accessibility in public space, access to public bathrooms, and active recreation. Okay, so let's start with safety and the perception of safety. When we actually look at statistics about violence and break those down by gender, men are most likely to be the victims of violence by people they don't know in public space. And women are most likely to be the victims of violence from people they do know in indoor space. What I think is really interesting is that women are extremely sensitive to perceptions of safety in public space. And this is something that's also amplified through media coverage of women being victims of violent acts in public space. Some of the markers of a space that would lead one to feel unsafe include lack of visibility from outside, insufficient lighting, a lack of liveliness, so a lack of other people around, a lack of escape routes, and subjectively threatening content or persons.
Okay, so now I'm here at Landsberger Allee. What you can see is I'm in a very busy intersection. I'm standing on top of the velodrome and also the public pool. And actually at the moment this facility is being used as a vaccination center, so there's a lot of public going in and out, a lot of taxis going in and out. And you can see behind me we've got streetcars. This is also an important light rail station, and it's quite a busy intersection with quite a busy road behind me. So let's go down these stairs and check it out. What we're looking at behind me here is a underpass area. This area is not very well lit. There is a dearth of lights here. This is really scary at night. It's a very loud part of the city. There are several construction areas going on. Here we can see a little bit more clearly the way that the space is laid out. So we've got a subterranean parking garage. That's the S-Bahn station. We've got some pedestrian space here along the side. And we've got the exit, which is a long set of stairs. Just looking back at some of this space, I think you can imagine how scary this space is at night. You can really see how intense this space is.
Okay, so second I'd like to talk about accessibility. Statistics from various cities show that women are much more likely to use public transportation than men, and also they're much more likely to use their bicycles. That means that the construction of bike paths and the improvement of public transportation infrastructure, especially with a view towards accessibility, benefits women greatly. And so if you think about women out and about doing their trip chaining mobility activities, they've got bags, they've got prams, they may have a bicycle with them, they've got a child in the seat on the back perhaps. This person really needs an accessible way to get in and out of public transportation.
Okay, so now I'm at a different part of the neighborhood. I'm at Falkenbergplatz and I am looking at a tram station, a streetcar station here. They're along residential streets, so there's an accessibility problem with curb height, and the city has been doing a good job of renovating these, and I just wanted to show you one example from the line number 21. What you can see here is that the city has raised the curb and created a bump up for cyclists, and this extends the full length of the streetcar stop, and this means that people can get into and out of the streetcar without taking a step down or a step back up again. And this is particularly good for people who are taking their bicycles with them or who may have a stroller. You can clearly see that they've just pushed out the curb an extra meter or so to allow people to enter the streetcar on level ground.
Okay, point number 3, public bathrooms. So social norms and biology mean that women's options are fairly limited when they need to use the bathroom when they're out and about. COVID-19 restrictions meant that all cafes' bathrooms were closed to the public. This meant that people who wanted to use a toilet out in public were reliant on the city's infrastructure of city toilets, which are, well, they're a little far apart from time to time.
I am standing in front of a Berlin city toilet. This one costs 50 cents to use. It is handicapped accessible. This one has something new about it. This one's just been put in. Okay, so here we are around the back side of that toilet, and as you can see, we have pissoirs back here, and these are free to use. You even have the opportunity to wash and dry your hands. So essentially, at this facility, it's 50 cents to sit, but free to stand.
Okay, so I want to wrap up today's 10-minute talk by talking a little bit about spaces of active recreation. Studies from our Gendered Landscape Network's lead partner city, Umeå, really examined how girls are much more likely to stop using active recreation spaces much earlier than boys, so up to 3 years earlier than boys, meaning that boys profit more from the municipal money spent on active recreation areas, soccer fields, rock climbing walls, skate parks, parkour parks, etc. So if we think about it this way, the money that municipalities are putting into active recreation areas are benefiting boys more than girls. The disproportionate use of these spaces goes back not only to gender norms and gender stereotypes, but also to the barriers that girls may feel in entering a space full of boys. There's just a pretty big social hurdle if you're a girl alone going into a space you may feel is a boys' space. Even in a small group, it may be too intimidating. And the question is, how do we break down that barrier? And some cities have looked at having girls-only times to get over some of the barriers and discomfort that girls may feel about co-ed and mixed active recreation. And so as a way of getting girls to really move into these spaces, cities can also consider having promotional programs to help girls' active recreation. So help promoting girls' soccer days, girls' basketball teams, as a way of making sure that girls have the opportunity to use these spaces just as much as boys do. In addition, the city of Umeå did a focus group with girls and developed a space that was based simply on exactly what they said that they needed from public space. A space to sit, talk with friends, listen to music, just be in a relaxing environment. And so this is one good example of how municipal money can be spread more equally. So I hope you enjoyed today's talk and you learned a bit of something. If you have any questions, just shout out at me here in the comments. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel, and you can also follow me on Twitter at MDL_Berlin. See you soon.